they'll throw like a half a dozen eggs or whatnot, and we've been trying to like catch who's doing it. I believe they probably live in Lime Tree Market, especially.
I'll get some later.
Or not inside Lime Tree Market. I mean above Lime Tree Market. Okay, Lime Tree Market's cool. Okay, they're all right with us. But I think they live in the.
I'll go grab some water and we can all have coffee or something later if you want. I'm okay. Yeah. Thank you though. Sorry. So they were just out of the window, so it's people from the neighborhood.
I think it's coming from the rooftops.
Gotcha. And it wasn't kids. Was it kids or like?
I thought it might have been the skateboarding kids, which is fucked up because now I don't think they had anything to do with it. Okay, but for like briefly in the middle of it, and from the beginning, I thought it was like a right winger, some fucking upper class fucking asshole that got it out for poor people, which there's plenty of that. And yeah, dude's been throwing wild eggs, but lately some of these apartments been dark and the eggs have stopped. Some of them are still dark. Okay. So the dude that we suspected doing it, that we caught on top of the terrace right there, that was a night that there was that they came and did this. That was the first surprise sweep at night that they closed off this with the tape, and we seen the guy up there that night watching us from the terrace, and then somebody was like, "Yo, that might be the guy throwing eggs," and he tried to cover his face, and I guess he realized we had already seen him, so he like let his shirt down after that. He was like trying to like smile or something. But, so I think it's him. Supposedly he lives right in that one on the second floor. All right, gotcha. But his apartment's been dark since around Thanksgiving, and that's around the time, like right around the time when his apartment went dark. It's right around the time my fucking eggs stopped. You know, I wish a reporter would get a fucking camera on the fucking roof or scaffold or somewhere.
Oh, we'll definitely take a shot of it afterwards.
Yeah, but like get a hidden camera if it starts up again and try to catch his motherfucker so we can put him out there for throwing eggs at homeless people, expose them.
That's sick.
But see how he likes that, being exposed for his actions. Yeah. But yeah, they've been. It started out with Officer David Bowman beating the shit out of Eduardo in July and then slapping him with false charges. And one of the other officers that was with him, if I remember his name, is Dela Cruz. Okay, but I got to check the videos because I caught him here one time while Eduardo was sleeping. And he was one of the ones that helped Bowman jump. And so it started out with that in July. I got Eduardo like 2 days later or something like that, with the bruises on his face and all that. And I did a video of it on my Instagram. Okay, now going back a few months, Officer Lavad, I think he's part of like the Business Improvement Bureau or some junk like that, or he was at the time. But I guess that's like the businesses want a homeless person removed from like the surrounding area of their business, so they call them up. They end up sending them, I guess. So they came to remove Eduardo, all right, and he ended up pulling his taser and punching a 21-year-old activist, peaceful activist. Nobody there was a threat to this officer or acting threatening to this officer. First he pulled a taser. Then he punched this 21-year-old guy in the nose, busting his nose bleeding. He didn't get arrested after getting punched. He had to go in the hospital after. Another homeless advocate that they've been targeting for a long time, who again didn't do anything. They arrested that day. And I believe that the prosecutor declined to prosecute, or whatever the correct terminology is.
The charges that the cops put against this.
Right. From like the bullpens, it was like the prosecutor was like, no, we don't want this. Okay, and they let him go right from the bullpens of Central Bookings, what I've been told.
And that shows that it's sort of an unreasonable charge that the cops were trying to put against this guy. It
was unreasonable arrest, of course. Okay, there was no reason for them to arrest him. And recently, I think within the last week, but I've been missing a lot of sleep, so my brain's a little foggy on details. This same activist, I got arrested for nothing. was tasered, beaten, arrested, and slapped with false charges of assaulting an officer by 2 9th Precinct officers on the block of the 9th Precinct. I got everything on film. Anybody can watch that video, and it's clear as day that he didn't assault anybody, and that these 2 violent animals of officers named Officer Zinneman and Officer Rogers, they just did a surprise sweep the other night. It's the second or third nighttime surprise sweep. Our friend, who isn't here right now, has been having a mental health crisis ever since this surprise night sweep the other night. He's suffering right now from it.
It's because he experienced violence against him, right? It's not just because he was
He's been arrested twice already. They've destroyed his property, like his skateboard. He has a cat. He deals with being a neurodivergent person. Okay, he imagine a person has special needs, etc., and now they're on the street dealing with this, So it was already difficult for the person to deal with society. I understand. I have issues that are similar in a lot of ways, and then all this happens to the person, and he's a vulnerable person, okay, sensitive person, and the first time that they did this, it was a similar thing. Where he's calling me up in the middle of the night. He thinks everyone's trying to hurt him. All right, he's normally not like this at all. Okay, as soon as they do this shit to him. So this time it's even worse. So now you're seeing the damages. And it makes me angry and upset. Okay? All right. We're trying to force the system that does not hold police accountable to show some form of accountability, at least compared to the standards that they have, which is no accountability. Okay? I want to at least see these motherfuckers fired. Okay? And I know Eduardo is prioritizing seeing them be charged for what they've done. Okay? Now, we also have the countless pushing, all right? Now they're telling homeless people, and not just this camp, that once they walk away, let's say you have stuff to carry, so, they just surprise you. It takes you 3 trips to get everything to the next corner. Okay? They'll say no. Once you walk away to that corner, you can't come back in. We're throwing out everything else and into the dumpster, the compactor, to be destroyed.
And is it deliberately to make it harder to stay out here?
It's very obviously so. It is to menace, frighten, scare, threaten, break homeless people. All right. It is literally, they're robbing you for your belongings. Okay, they are taking your belongings and destroying them in front of you. All right, that is what they're doing. They're like, look, every time we catch you sleeping outside, we're going to destroy your shit. And if you take too long moving your shit out, you give us a hard time, we're going to fuck you up and arrest you.
So then, I guess one of the last questions I want to ask is, fired. That's a good start. Press charges, to actually get to take charges. That's a great next step. But for the bigger problem of homelessness, what do you see we can do, or houselessness, I guess,
Well,
could the city not just provide housing, real housing, or what do you think how do we help people like you?
Oh yeah, well, I'm actually housed now. Okay, I've been in a supportive living place for last year and a half or something. There are 450,000 empty apartments in New York City. Either way, whatever they're writing, all right, they're fucking lying if they're saying it's any less than 250,000. It's like 450,000 and up, empty apartments in New York City. There's 60,000 people in the regular shelters. 1/3 of them are children. All right, so you subtract the number of children from the total number of homeless people when you're counting how many apartments are needed. All right, because each child goes into the parents or guardians, gets counted in the household. Otherwise, they'd be in ACS, not homeless services. They would be counted as homeless. Okay, they'd be counted as foster care. Okay, so you have to subtract that number from the total number. So it's 40,000-ish apartments you need to end homelessness in the regular shelters, in the migrant shelters. The last I checked, there's 64,000 was the Google results on how many people are living in the migrant shelters, but here within city limits. But there's been more people coming in. As we can see, they're leaving people outside all night in the cold over on 7 and B at St. Bridget's. It's disgusting how they're treating people, okay, how they're treating us, all right. They're the same as us, all right. And they're homeless, just like he's homeless, just like I was homeless. He doesn't have a place to live, different conditions. They're in worse conditions because you tack on, they're not allowed to work. But back to the numbers, out the population of people living in the migrant shelters, a lot of them are children too. Again, you subtract that number. On the high end, you're looking at like 110,000 apartments needed to empty out the regular shelters, to empty out the migrant shelters. All of them going into apartments. Everybody, no picking and choosing. You only need like maybe 110,000, maybe less. Okay, the amount of rent stabilized apartments that landlords have been withholding for like 2 years plus, like 88,000 apartments. That's enough to end homelessness basically in the city. So the problem here, the problem lies herein, right? This is why these apartments aren't filled. It's because to end homelessness, you have to guarantee housing. And if you guarantee housing, it will drop property value. One reason behind that is that people will just stop paying rent. If housing was guaranteed, then people would not want to pay rent. Either way, it would be, you would have a free housing option. Okay? Or if you couldn't pay, because that's what guaranteed housing is. You can't pay. Forget about everything else, all these money games. Some people just can't pay. At the end of the day, to end homelessness, you have to guarantee housing. And so, real estate value lowers, okay? Real estate market maybe crashes, all right? Maybe you can't make money off of owning the place that someone else lives in, okay? Maybe that, it won't be profitable at that point. And so, at the end of the day, you have to fill the empty apartments that already exist with the homeless people, which is enough to end homelessness, all right? Whatever they say about building new low income or whatever, that's all baloney to keep the game going, all right? Because they have the apartments already and they cannot end homelessness. Because if you guarantee housing, it's going to lower their property value. They control Albany and the mayor, all right? So to really end homelessness, you have to get rid of the system of landlords. You have to get rid of the system of rent.
And what you're saying right now is that the way the math works is that the city is more interested in preserving people's ability to make profit than have people be housed.
I mean, has it ever not been that way in this entire country and in much of the world?